To all you weary travelers of the realm of YouTube, welcome. My latest playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons is past us now, but if you haven't watched it yet, you totally should, just saying. And after a couple detours to talk about some recent events, this has been some time coming. You see, those of you who are new here, I like to fill the time in between projects with one of these. Nothing too fancy, just to talk about something related to a recently finished Let's Play and to some personal experiences. So, pull up a chair, gather around the fire, and listen in. I haven't mentioned it since early in Oracle of Seasons, but the Oracle of Zelda games had a bit of a rocky development. The project actually started out as an offer from Capcom to Nintendo to create a remake of the original Legend of Zelda for the Game Boy Color, with the possibility of more, brand new games using the engine if the remake was successful. They got the green light for it, but after a while, some members of the team decided they'd be better off pushing the Zelda 1 remake aside and going forward with the new game right away. One of Capcom's subsidiaries, a group called Flagship, got to work creating a story and characters, but they ran into some problems because the team had been focusing more on those things before the gameplay and game engine were ironed out. They ran into further difficulties with the Game Boy Color itself. The small screen could only show so much at a time. Things weren't going along so well, to say the least, and so Mr. Miyamoto stepped in to try and right the ship. He proposed a trilogy of games, each one representing one piece of the Triforce. Capcom shifted development to this new idea, adapting what they originally had of the Zelda 1 remake into one of the three games, which even had a playable demo at Nintendo's Space World conference at one point. Then the team hit another problem. The logistics of setting up three 8-bit games to interact with each other in ways that allow a player to complete them in any order and still maintain a cohesive narrative proved very impractical. The plan of 3 interlinking games became 2 interlinking games, and the rest is history. Despite the problems encountered along the way, the Oracle games turned out to be well crafted, became critical and commercial successes, and have aged pretty gracefully. But you know, I wonder what it was like to be on that development team. What was going through their heads every time something went wrong or had to be changed? You see, anxiety is a really big deal in today's world. It seems that sources of stress are everywhere nowadays. And despite few of us having to constantly worry about our survival the way our ancestors did, we're bombarded with messages and sensations that our minds and bodies haven't yet evolved to handle. I think finding answers for this out-of-control stress is going to be one of the big challenges of our generation. Well, that and finding footholds in the world with the economy fighting us every step of the way. But I digress. You see, I want to talk about a specific type of anxiety. Performance anxiety isn't just something that happens in less work-safe situations. It can show up in a lot of places. This suffocating feeling that you have to always be at your strongest, that you cannot afford to screw up lest there be dire consequences. It clamps down on you, never lets you relax when there's always so much at stake, and it handcuffs your talents and abilities when you need them most. There are times where that feeling that you're constantly under the gun can make it difficult to start working at all. I wonder, what would it have been like to be on the dev team for the Oracle games? With the constant alterations and sudden repurposing of ideas as the project plan changed every time something went wrong? What pressure could those men and women at Capcom have felt, having the chance to create an entry in such a vaunted franchise and yet struggling to produce at every turn? What would happen with every mistake or misstep? What could they afford to redesign? What could they afford to scrap and shove aside with their deadlines inching ever closer? And what if their games turn out to be failures, and they weren't able to meet the lofty expectations placed before them? You probably figured it out by this point. All of this that I've described, I know exactly how it feels. Due to several factors, my physical condition, my living situation, a mess of past trauma, let's just say my chances of finding a stable career in a more normal field are very unlikely. I'll spare you the details for another time, but one reason I've been doing this is, well, it's a long shot chance of being able to make something out of doing something I enjoy. I figure it's better I gave this a chance than just give up and consign myself to a dead-end job where I'd never make enough to be able to truly function on my own. but it's been tough, because among other things, this ever-present anxiety has me fighting against myself constantly. I want my content to be high quality, so that viewers like you want to keep coming back and for the right reasons. But I constantly see where my shortcomings are, and it always feels like they number too many. I mean, ask yourself, would you have stuck around if this wasn't as polished as an amateur like me can get it? Would you have cared about just one guy amongst a sea of videos by bigger and better established names? If I ever lost my touch, if my quality started to fall off, I don't know how long people would stick around. I'd love to give you all the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know if I can afford to. And then I look at so many other YouTubers, the true professionals, and I see the experience and technical prowess and freedom to record the content they want without so many outside forces throwing yet another wrench in their plans, and I wonder how I could ever measure up to them. And let's just say you never quite grow out of the fear that you'll never be good enough, or that no matter what you do, anything can happen at any moment to deny you any chance to succeed. In the back of my head, I'm always wondering, how long could it be before my future is taken away this time? But don't worry, I'm not going anywhere yet. I wish I had some answers for all of this, but I'm still learning about it myself. I'm still growing, as a YouTuber, a content creator, a writer, a competitor, and as a person. For anyone out there listening in who's going through anything similar, I know what it feels like, and I want to find a way to understand it and move forward, not just for my sake, but so I can use that knowledge to spare anyone else the pain I've had to endure for the last several years. Speaking of changing plans, though, I've had to make some changes to my upcoming projects. The game I originally had in mind was one I was really looking forward to, but as is, I don't feel like I'm quite ready to tackle it in the way I want. It's taken me some time to figure out a new path, but now, my next Let's Play is going to be on a game from a similar era that apparently a lot of people secretly like, if some recent projects elsewhere have shown anything. So that'll start up within the next couple weeks. I'll get in more discussions as well where I can, if anything important happens. But again, I can only do so much in my current situation. I haven't forgotten about competitive content for Smash 4 or Pokken either. I'm hoping to start getting matches up in the near future. Fingers crossed. For now, I hope you enjoyed this talk. I hope I gave you something you can take from this, something meaningful. It's something I really strive for. So, until next time, I hope I can see you all around the fire again.